got out of that growing up as an athlete and looking up to some of the great, avatars of the sports and martial arts world, one of the things I got was adopting the attitude of excellence. Adopting the attitude of a winner, right? Of a champion. There's a very thin line there between a quote-unquote loser, someone that's taking on the archetype of a loser, someone that's always losing in life, the person that never wins anything, the person that they're down on their luck. The rain, the storm clouds are always right above their head. Everybody else is lucky but me. I always get sick around this time of the month, right? Cancer, diabetes, it runs in my family, right? We know that whole thing. That's the archetype of a loser, essentially, is that somebody that takes on that self-perpetuating, that self-fulfilling prophecy of sickness, debilitation, disease, pain, sorrow, depression, that whole thing. And then you have the archetype of a winner, which I used to think was an inborn quality. I used to think that it's just like there's certain people that were born with that, and I was like, wow, I actually didn't realize I was one of those people, or at least how I associated it, until I was pushed. Until I was forced. It was easy being like an athlete, because it's like when you're an athlete, it's easy. Even though other people look at my life and they're like, oh my God, what the heck? Like, that's not easy. Like, accounting and doing my taxes is easy. And like, to me, that's the worst thing ever. Like accounting, taxes, like, it's literally a situation at this point in my life where it won't happen unless someone else does it for me. That's how much I'm adverse to that, right? But for me, training is the easiest thing ever. Pushing myself past my limit is super easy. But then again, it's just a situation where things shifted and I had to reinvent myself. So anyways, I had to really adopt that attitude of like, wow, like, if it's to be, it's up to me. No matter what the circumstances, no matter what the barrier is, I'm going to go through it, because this life, who knows? It's finite. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and I don't know where this whole thing's going as it is. As far as I could tell back then, we were like on a landslide, but we were like on a train towards like, the most cockamamie, weird situation ever, and we're going off a cliff. So I might as well just soak every bit of life force out of this situation as I can while I'm here. I have a slightly different perspective on the whole situation now, though. Well, maybe we'll get into that later. But that's the key element here, is that you have to really dial in the tuning fork of your mind. You have to take hold of your mind. One really amazing book that influenced me many, many years ago was Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill. I remember reading that book over and over and over. There's a few really important chapters in there. One of the phrases that comes out of that book, very famous quote, what the mind of man can conceive and believe, he can achieve. Very powerful idea. If you can conceive a new vision for your life, if you can conceive displaying new characteristics, new longevity supporting characteristics, characteristics that support community, that support ecology, that support a holy temple of vibrant, infinite, volumes of health that's everlasting, it's ever flowing, it's never depleted. I can conceive of that, I can believe in that, right? Good thing to ponder on once in a while. Another quote that comes out of that book that I found really, really powerful, and I think it's a really incredible segue for everything that we're going to talk about. And I've been every lecture I do, I think I actually bring this up now. It's so powerful. Within every single problem contains the seed of its very solution. I'll say that one more time. Within every single problem that you're ever faced with, regardless of how you personalize it, how you associate your past or emotions or whatever with it, it actually contains the very seed of its solution. What's the activity of a seed? Does the seed just activate right away and then you have the answer? No, right? That's like very distorted Secret Thinking. By the way, I love that movie. I actually love that movie. The Secret got a lot of criticism from a lot of people, and I think it was actually, there's a lot of incredible wisdom that came out of that movie. Had to watch it about 20 times. And I actually walked into my house, my roommate's house, and I saw it playing. I was like, whoa. And I sat down, I'm like, oh man, like, whoa, there's like some really powerful seeds of like truth here, right? But a seed doesn't just like, it doesn't just give you its secrets right away. Like, it's not like microwave consciousness or credit card consciousness, right? It takes time. There's a germination process. There's a self-discovery process, right? Nature doesn't just volunteer its secrets to you. This is the secret of alchemy. If you study alchemy, my book over here, The Inner Alchemy Youthening System, is actually based on that central theme, is that nature doesn't just volunteer its secrets freely to everyone. There's actually a seeking process. You actually have to, like King Arthur pulling the sword out of the stone, you have to be of noble intention, not origin, right? It's not about your bloodline. It's actually your intention. If you can burn away all the heavy lead of, you know, of your past and all the excuse-itis tendencies, right? That's the number one condition in the world, by the way. I mean, you know, let's say, what's the number one reason for mortality, for death? Heart disease. After that, it's all forms of cancer combined. Number 3 is iatrogenics, which is pharmaceutical and doctor-induced death. Has anyone heard about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Fucking nuts.
Iatrogenics. Look that one.
More likely to die at the hospital.
You're more like, oh man, that's that. I used to work in a hospital. I worked in the emergency room of Summit Hospital in Oakland for 3 years. The 3rd year, I became a raw foodist. You can only imagine what. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. It was like waking up in like the Wizard of Oz or some weird reality. Like, okay, this is strange. Yeah, but anyways, you have to actually go through a certain process to burn away the past and to renew your spirit. And so I found actually in the health equation, a lot of people are driven by vanity. They're driven by instant, instant top ramen result consciousness. Like they're just looking for the thing right here. Like, where is it right here? Even to the point where someone goes to get a diagnosis, or no, they don't go to get the diagnosis. They go to get a checkup, which a lot of alternative doctors are now telling people, like, don't do that. Like, stop going to get, like, your midlife checkup. It's actually a bad idea. Because they're waiting, right? And what ends up happening to people, I found this very fascinating, is that there's a science called psychoneuroimmunology. Has anyone heard of this? Psychoneuroimmunology. They basically found out that your immune cells, your white blood cells, have receptor sites for neuropeptides in the brain. What that means is that when you think a thought, it creates a neurotransmitter chemical reaction, and that actually affects your immunology, your immune system. So is it possible that we could become more vital, vibrant, and immunologically fortified based on our attitude? By, like, you know, having love and joy, ease, grace, and flow in our life? Is that, maybe no?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. We get more of that, right? So, yeah, so when people go to the doctor, interesting thing happens is that they're just going in for a routine checkup. And then the doctor tells them, oh, Mr. Smith, Mr. Jones, whatever, we just found that there's a tumor in development right now, and we need to cut that out. We need to act immediately. We need to jump on that thing before it metastasizes and grows out of control. And the whole fear story, right? Fear factory. If you want to know how that whole system is orchestrated, what's the motivation behind all of it, it's fear. Who here's ever been to a doctor before? A dentist? An optometrist? I don't know. I'm not in that world, but I imagine it's not too different. Because they have a whole case of glasses to sell you right when you get out of the office, right? Anyways. It's based on fear. And I can tell you, I'm not just saying that as like some renegade, you know, new youth. I'm actually telling you from my experience, observation. Because I've been in the hospitals, the rooms, like the Dungeon and Dragon of the ER, and I've seen doctors, not all doctors, there's some amazing doctors out there, but I've seen the bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly. There was one time I was talking to a patient. I did HIV testing, and I was talking to this patient, and the doctor literally opens up the screen, and he goes to them and says something to the extent of, "Oh, we found out you have cancer," and then walks away. I was like, what? Just, oh my God. I think that was the same doctor who said, talking to the nurses, I overheard, maybe him or someone else, I overheard someone saying something about fried chicken, and the doctor was like, yeah, but it tastes good. So, okay. Anyways, back to the point. So somebody goes to get a checkup, they get the diagnosis, right? What happens is that from the moment they get the diagnosis, there's a rapid acceleration of that tumor, or that cancer, or that whatever, dis-ease, that they got diabetes, whatever. There's a rapid acceleration that happens almost from the point that they leave their office. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, very interesting. So, you just got to adopt the right attitude about all this. We're going to go into some whole bunch of information. We're going to take some twists and turns, but you just got to have the right attitude. When you come here, you just have to have an attitude that you're just going to find one piece of the puzzle. One piece that's going to fit into your puzzle right now. You don't have to overwhelm yourself with so much information or anything like that. If you have notes, that's great. But just wait for that aha moment to hit you, and then that's the thing that you take away. And you install that one piece into the database of your life and who you're becoming. Does that sound reasonable? Cool. Okay, so the driving force of my work at this point moving forward as a nutritionist is really